What's up, fellow Sambarians? Today, I have here with me Goober Chan. All her glory. Her brakes are looking pretty bad. The pads are, I don't have much meat left on the pads. Let's see what I got. So these were actually Pitworks, which were ordered from Amiyama. So like I was saying, Amiyama sells factory and they also sell aftermarket alternatives. So I went with the Pitworks because they were like 28 bucks for a pad set. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm going to attempt to take some of the caliper parts apart and clean and re-grease them, so you know they can go in and out properly. I don't have a rebuild kit for, say, the piston, but that's okay. We'll grease and clean up the sliders, the part that it slides on, and check out the boots and just kind of give it a once over and see how she looks. So if you're in the market for new brake pads and need to do them on your Sambar, let's get to it. Let's get her jacked up. I've seen some questions, people asking where jack points are on these. The manual, service manual from Subaru on these, there's the center like connecting point in the very middle of the trucks and the vans, where the two control arms come together, and you have like that center bushing, probably for the steering. That's where you want to jack it up on. There's a nut that is down on the bottom. I usually put the jack cup like just to the right or left of it, so I'm not pushing up and putting pressure on that bolt and nut down there. So just right off to the side, that's where I'll jack it up on. Kind of looks like a butt with a little turtle head poking out. You want to get one of them butt cheeks. Go ahead and get the wheel off. Being very careful, we don't scratch our painted wheels. Also, if you're looking for a slightly better option with lug nuts for your wheels, because if you've noticed, if you do wheels or take your wheels off, the wheel studs are very short on these. So typical alloy wheels, not your steelies that are thin. A normal lug nut really won't grab a whole lot of threads unless, I mean, there are some thin points on some wheels. I've noticed on my other Sparkos, I didn't have that issue, but these, they're thick. So you only get about 2 or 3 turns with a normal lug nut. So I found these where it has like a longer shank, so it goes in deeper on the studs. So far no issues, but I did pick up a set of lug nuts that are specific for these wheels. I think they may even be made by Sparko, off of 500 yen. They kind of look like this, where it has a longer, it's even longer than this shank, probably twice as long as that, but instead of being a spline drive like this, or like a typical lug nut, it's a Allen. So it's a big old fat Allen. So they gave me a key, so it goes in and it sits like, it actually sits like flush in the wheel, so you don't see any lug nut. I might end up putting those on. UPS showed up, so I had to run out there, but in the meantime I grabbed the lug nut so you can see what I'm talking about. I think actually I'm just going to put them on to be safe, because I'll show you. the difference. So here are the ones, the ET or something, I think that's what they're called. And then here's the ones that are made for this wheel. So here's your seat. See how much deeper it goes in? About twice as long as this one. So you get way more thread with these. These are pretty expensive if you don't buy these from off of Yahoo auctions. I've seen them upwards to $100. I got them for probably 29 bucks. The black they come in black too. Those are like 30 something bucks, a little more expensive, but some company in Australia or something sells them for like 100 bucks. Crazy. But here's the tool it comes with. So it's just a giant Allen. So I'm actually just gonna end up running these, which they kind of hide. So I wanted the black ones so you don't really see them. I didn't want the chrome, but they are pretty hidden inside the wheel. So I think we'll just end up running those. So if you end up getting Sparkos or something, those are the lug nuts you want to get. Or you can run these ET something rathers. I'll put a link in my video if you want to get some of these spline drives. But yeah, a little bit long. You're gonna need a longer shank or more thread grab for sure, because the other ones just grab a few threads. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so I just spent about an hour trying to figure out if I wanted to actually do the brake pads or not. They're not as bad as I thought they would be, but you know, for 28 bucks and we're getting a little bit of brake noise, might as well just change them. So with no further ado, let's get started. So you're gonna want to take the little grenade pin out. You're gonna pop that guy out. That's holding this this thing in here, and depending on the condition yours is in, you can probably just pull it out with some pliers or push it out. And then this little cover, if you will, push it down. You can push it down. Let's see here. Well, actually, yeah, so we'll push it down. I'll take a screwdriver or a little pry bar, just kind of push on it and give it some pressure, some leverage to get this to let go from up on top. So then that will just slide out. And keep in mind, you're gonna need to save all these parts if you didn't get any of that, if you just got brake pads. And then theoretically, these brake pads should just come wandering out. Let's see, I forget. Yeah, so the top one has the top of this pad has a notch, so you got to come out the bottom first, and then the top one is probably gonna have the notch on the bottom, which, yeah, so then that will come out. So yeah, this is why I was having a moment earlier trying to figure out what I was gonna do. It's not that bad, still good meat on. So I think what I'll do is I'll just save these for an emergency in case Japan is angry at us and doesn't want to send any parts to us. Yeah, so we're gonna just save those and put the new guys on. And if you're looking for new pads, 500yenshop.com, search Sambar brake pad with a Rikutan in the Rikutan options and golden. Okay, so now that we got that off, what I'm going to do is there's a couple bolts on the back side here holding the caliper in onto the car. I'm going to take that off, and that's what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean those, probably re-grease, put some high temp synthetic grease on those suckers so they can, I mean, it is sliding pretty good. There's not a whole lot going on there, but it doesn't hurt to clean it up. And we'll also take a look at the piston and make sure the boot and everything is still pretty happy with that. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to rip the boot and I don't have a rebuild kit. So we're just going to kind of clean stuff up. So let's get this part of the caliper off. Okay, so we're going to get those bolts out. Thank you, trusty impact. I know I said I don't like to use impacts on taking parts off, but it's a 19 millimeter, so it matches the lug nuts. Okay, so, and here's like a back, almost like probably a shield for the caliper. Take that caliper off. And we're going to, that one's a little sticky. So let's get this guy to hang out. Let's pick those boots off and clean those shafts they're on. And if you don't have anything to hang your caliper on because you don't want to let it just hang from the brake line, I always kind of use a jack stand, figure out where it's going to balance. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. Boot is okay up on the top here. There is a little bit ripping happening, but it's not all the way through, kind of like a CV axle where it's getting there. So I'll probably find a kit and just get ready to rebuild it. But let's get those boots off. So I'm going to use a little pick set. This is the Matco pick set. If you're not a fan of Snap-on, Matco's got some good stuff. We'll carefully pull these boots off. And you don't need to do this. It's certainly not necessary, but I would recommend it because it will keep your boots happy. I mean, keep your brakes happy. So what I'm gonna do is actually, they're feeling pretty dry. I'll probably give them a good revitalizing with some like a ceramic detail or something, just to kind of get the rubber moisturized again. Obviously we don't want to get wild with it because we don't want that getting on our brakes and then ruining our new pads. So I'll probably do that. These are pretty clean looking, so these shafts, so let's just pull the back ones off. So it looks like maybe they used looks like, yeah, these are pretty dirty. We'll just give these a good cleaning. It looks like they probably used anti-seize, so I don't, can you see that? Yeah. So I took both the boots off. We'll clean those up. And then you should, I'm gonna clean this before we slide it through. Don't ever pull a sword through your body unless you clean the other end. I got the pins out. I'm gonna brake clean them. Got the boots off on the slide pins. I'm gonna clean those up and kind of moisten up the rubber a little bit with some not like a cheap Armor All, but something that's going to keep the rubber from drying out. And I'm going to use I got some Mobil 1 high temp synthetic grease. We'll put on the slide pins and then we'll put her back together. It looked like maybe anti-seize was used on these, but I was just doing some searching and I found that anti-seize will dry up and leave a graphite kind of film behind to keep it from seizing up. So I'm just gonna use a grease instead of anti-seize, and that should be good. Okay, so I got the slide pins, the brake slide pins greased up, put back in there. I don't know if you necessarily need to take them all the way out. You probably just leave them in there and slide side to side. Slide side to side. Anyways, these look pretty good. So I'll put the caps, the rubber seals back on there. Doesn't help that everything is so goddamn slippery now. I'm gonna try using a pick and feed it on. Let's see. Because it has like a lip. Being very careful, of course. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so I disregard me saying they look like the same. They do look like the same, but the inner lip is fatter on the inside of the caliper than the outside. So make sure that you put the right one on the right side, because otherwise you won't be able to get the fatter one on. But I'm still working at it. What I found to be kind of helpful is to flip the boot inside out and then snap it, let it snap in, because it's got to get over that lip and on the pocket. And man, it is not, mine is not happy. I think having a pick certainly helps, because you can kind of finagle that snaggle tooth in there. But be very careful with the pick, because you don't want to poke a hole in your boot. Yeah, so it's gonna take a little bit of time, or at least it did for me, because those boots were not cooperating. But flip them on there. Make sure you put the front and the back, I mean the inner and the outer boot on the correct side, because they have different widths on that lip that catches on the caliper. Okay, well, that seemed, oh man, my leg's completely asleep right now. That was quite an adventure, getting those boots back on. So just make sure that when you do put the boots back on, you will push it on and it will look like it's on there, but it's humped up a little bit on that inner lip. It needs to be flat, because then that means that it's sitting in the groove. So finally got them both on there. Sliding a little bit, a little more freely. I guess it wasn't too bad, but at least I got a little more peace of mind that, you know, that slide pin is clean, greased, and our boots are looking a lot happier. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the other one now. So give me a couple hours. One eternity later. Okay, so boots, guide pins, guide shafts, whatever. Those are all back, cleaned up, lubed up, feeling pretty solid. Make sure you put those boots on, inner, outer. They are specific. Give them a feel. Make sure they feel airtight. So now what we're gonna do is push the piston, the puck back in. And so this part is gonna require taking the lid off of the reservoir. Make sure you clean it up before you take it off if it is dirty. You don't want dirt getting inside there. So clean that up, take it off. We're gonna push the puck in, and we're gonna keep an eye on that fluid. If we need to extract any because it's too full, I got a straw. We can just suck it out. I think I've heard it tastes like Sprite. It's all good. I'm just kidding, don't do that. I actually have a little pump that we can suck out the fluid. So first, let's get that brake pad in. So I'm gonna take an old brake pad, put it on there. I'm gonna take my handy dandy C-clamp and we're going to press that sucker back in. If you've never seen the C-clamp trick, it works great. It works wonders. Just make sure that you have a old brake pad on there, because otherwise you'll mar or mess up the puck, and then that could potentially jack some stuff up. Oh man, my body hurts. Okay, we're okay up there. No problemo. Keep on pushing it in. Getting pretty high. That's okay. Okay, that's pushed all the way in. We're not overflowed, so that's good. So I'll take the C-clamp off. And then what we're gonna do next is put her back together. So take your bracket with the bolts, and let's slide her back through. Make sure you put that bracket back on. That kind of looks like a shield. Just about to go into battle for Middle Earth. It's probably a hobbit sized. There's probably a hobbit sized van. Probably get about 10 hobbits in here. If y'all are into Lord of the Rings and you get a chance to go out to New Zealand, go check out Hobbiton. You certainly won't regret it. I'm a bit of a nerd, LOTR nerd. Put that on your bucket list, places to go. I would highly, 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 highly recommend it. If you're into Lord of the Rings, that is. Okay, so we're gonna get those tightened back up. All right, so those are on there pretty good and tight. This is, see that? Oh, probably should help. Very minimal effort to get that thing to slide in and out. Okay, so let's do our brake pads finally. So they're tabbed. No tab. So the tab obviously goes in first. Then that will slide in. I need my other brake pad. Oh my gosh. Pollitos. Hola. Okay. And then we'll put the other one in. Then we're gonna put on our other shield. So I would slide the shield in first down here at the bottom. And then push the upper parts in and then slide it up. There you go. And that's gonna hold our brake pads in place. And then we're gonna take our little slide here. Kind of finagle your brake pads around until you get a gap down there. And then slide that sucker in. There we go. Kind of give it a little love tap in, and then just slide it far enough to where you can, the hole is clear, and you can slide your grenade pin back in there. Make sure it's not gonna fall out like mine is, so I think I'm gonna have to do something about that. And there she is. And we'll give the brakes a pump. That'll pump the good old pad back out. Fluid went down just a little bit. Push the puck back out. And there you go. That's how you do your brakes. So just when you're down there, just you know, check stuff out, make sure you clean everything, make sure those guide pins and all that stuff, those boots are good. They do make repair kits. Check your brake piston, the cover, all that stuff, make sure it's all good. Yeah, and probably hit it with a little brake cleaner, won't hurt, just to make sure everything's good. And then I think when you break in new pads, you just go out, find a good stretch of road. Don't come to like sudden abrupt hard stops. Kind of make some gradual medium pressure stops. I think I kind of remember that from back in the day when I'd do brake pads. They would give you that little thing you'd hang from your mirror to kind of warn you not to be slamming your brakes on, because you could glaze over your new pads and then you'll be squealing probably, and they're not gonna seat right on the rotor. So yeah, I'm sure there's some videos out there how to break in new pads if you're concerned about it, but I think it's just kind of medium normal stopping for a good period of time before you start slamming on your brakes. Or I could be way off, don't listen to me, but I think that's what I kind of remember. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Check these things out, find some on 500yenshop.com using the Rakuten option on your search engine, and get yourself some fairly inexpensive brake pads. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can find them and do what you want. Or if you've already got them and you gotta stick them on there, hopefully that was helpful. Awesome, thanks guys for watching. Good luck and happy sandbaring.